No.
I had it planned up in my head.
No, you didn't.
Okay. Oh! Take two.
Baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey. Come on now and take my hand.
Hi friends, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Summer,
And I'm Cody.
and we are building an off-grid container house here in the Midwest.
The heartland of America.
We haven't done one of these in a good long while, so I took to Instagram, Facebook, and then YouTube community page to ask y'all to ask us any questions that y'all might want to know about our house, living off-grid, costs, insurance, anything that you could think of. So I gathered the 10 most frequently asked questions, and let's go over them.
All right, we're just gonna jump into probably the biggest, most frequently asked question we get all the time. What insurance can you put on your container home when it's complete, or will they insure it? I think there's a lot of misconceptions about how insurance works out there when people get concerned that you can't insure something, and insurance companies love taking your money. Anybody will insure anything for the right amount of money. So getting insurance definitely is not an issue at all.
Currently, we have a builder's policy while we're still in the midst of building, but then as soon as we're done, we will be able to qualify for normal homeowners insurance without any problems.
And since we are building off grid, obviously, we got tons of questions on why are you doing this? Why are you putting in tamper-proof outlets and GFI outlets and worrying about all the technical kind of stuff and making sure everything is specifically to code? Well, because there's a method to our madness, you know. As where we want to live here forever and plan on living here forever, we can't foresee the future, so we wanted to build everything to code. One, to make sure that we can insure it all, and two, to make sure if anything ever happened or if life ever changed, that we could still sell the property and not lose all our
100%.
money.
And through county regulation, we had to build to code. So we had specific building codes and specs that we had to meet and to pass inspections, and we did. Because of that, after talking to insurance companies, we're gonna have no issues insuring our home once it's completed after the builder's policy expires.
Yeah, and we actually had the county out recently so they could, the county assessor, so they could do, I think it was the assessor, wasn't it?
It was assessor, yeah.
So we had the assessor out, that way they could take measurements of the house and see how they were going to tax it and everything like that. So I believe he said he was going to do either a new construction or a modular barn dominium type home. So we'll know for sure what they classify it as here whenever we get our tax bill in the next couple months.
So yeah, while we are off grid, we aren't like somewhere in Alaska or somewhere where it's super, super remote. You know, we still do live in a county where we do have regulations that we have to meet.
Even though we only have a builder's policy right now, I have called around to probably 4 or 5 different insurance companies and gone over everything with them and was able to get quotes from all of them. So I know that we won't have any issues being able to get insurance on the home itself whenever the time comes.
Now, obviously, this varies on location and where you live. This might not be true for your area, so always keep that in mind and do tons and tons and tons of research before you take on any big project, especially building a house.
Yeah, there's a reason that we built our house the way that we did it and we classified everything the way that we did. We didn't want it to be considered a mobile home. We didn't want it to be considered a modular home. We wanted it to be considered a on-site new construction build, which is exactly what it was. The shipping containers are nothing more than building materials, just like you would use wood or anything else like that. So
it can't travel, so I know there's a lot of misconceptions that, oh, you can just pick it up and move it around. You cannot do that. It is
if you try
in the
to pick it
ground.
up, you're going to take the earth with it.
Yeah.
I promise.
So it is permanently fixated in the ground. It is a permanent building. It's a permanent structure. I cannot stress that enough because there's a tons of misconceptions that you can just hook up a little hitch and ball and get it out of here, and you just really can't do that. So
yeah, even a crane's not going to take it out of here anymore. It's part of the earth now.
yeah. If you're new here and you haven't watched one of our Q&As in a while, I try to keep it interesting. I myself can get very distracted very easily, so we switch up locations. So let's go somewhere else. Hey guys, before we get too far into the video, I did want to thank today's sponsor, and that is BetterHelp. H-E-L-P, help. We've worked with BetterHelp a ton in the past. It is the world's largest therapy service and it is 100% online. You can tap into a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you in a wide range of issues. You just answer a few questions based on your needs and preferences, and BetterHelp will match you with the right therapist from their network. You can even do this through phone, text, video call, whatever you're comfortable with. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions that are convenient for you. And if your therapist isn't right for whatever reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. BetterHelp gives you the same quality and professionalism that you would expect from an in-office therapy visit, but at your convenience and is more affordable. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/can'tcontainuss. And all of that will be linked in our description. Thank you again, BetterHelp, for sponsoring today's video. And let's get back to it. This is my favorite question, Cody's least favorite question, and that is, what other kinds of animals are you going to add to your family? Ideally, we want to like finish building.
I want a horse. I want a horse.
I know you want a horse.
I want a horse.
I don't think he realizes how much responsibility horses are. They just need a lot, baby.
And all the other animals don't?
That's what I'm saying. That is so much responsibility. Okay.
You got ducks, you got chickens.
Okay, if you want a horse.
You already have a horse because your dog is damn near a horse. I want a horse.
She's very horse-like. I have a very large jaw.
I just want to cut a bunch of trails and be able to ride my horse through the trails on the property. That's all I want.
He's very salty about the horse situation. We're gonna get a horse. It's okay.
Granted, it needs a barn, so obviously I got to build a barn first.
Exactly. So yes, Cody wants a horse. I want goats. I maybe eventually want some cows. I don't know. I want everything.
We want all kinds of stuff. Like a lion would be cool. Maybe some of the like Galapagos turtles. Aren't they the Galapagos ones, the giant ones? I think so. Giant turtles would be cool.
I'll throw in a picture here if that is a thing.
I want like a dinosaur turtle, like a 200-year-old turtle. That'd be cool.
Want lots of things. Don't currently have time for lots of things. Plus, we still like to camp, travel, go to Texas, visit our family. But we are going to get more, but
probably nothing else this year. Probably in the springtime once we can get a lot more stuff done around here and get a little more prepared for more animals.
Yeah. So, hope that answers your question. Before we move on, one of these girls is an overachiever and be popping out eggs every single day. Don't know who it is, but I'll tell you who I think it is. Hold on, I don't want them to fly out. 1 second. If I had to put my money on it, I think it's Buckbeak. This is Buckbeak. She has a really nice, thick red comb. She's real cute. She's real thick. So if I had to put my money on who is currently giving us eggs, I think it's this girl. So I'm gonna let her go do her job. This was not planned. We just forgot that we had to get ribs on the grill because we are going to be celebrating Cody's birthday tonight. It was yesterday, but we're going to be celebrating it tonight with all of his friends. Coming out, we're doing ribs, and we forgot that we had to get them on the smoker, not grill. I think I said grill, but the smoker. I figured, though, it would be a perfect time to answer this question, which is...
Are you going to be building an outdoor kitchen? Yes, I want one so bad.
We pretty much eat outdoors in general a lot of the time. We like to grill a lot, so it just makes sense to have an outdoor kitchen.
We just really haven't decided where exactly we want to put it yet, which is the only reason that we haven't really started on it. But I already have a nice stainless steel gas grill over there, as well as a smoker, barbecue pit, and even a battery-powered like little refrigerator. So we have like all the things for an outdoor kitchen. We just don't have the kitchen yet. So, and speaking of outdoor things, we want to build an outdoor shower too. That'll probably be on the list at some point.
For sure. But yes, ribs on the smoker. Figured we'd answer that question. Let's go to the next one. She's a smoking now, baby.
Oh yeah.
How did you join both containers together? I'm thinking of doing construction on the 2 containers too.
Basically, we had built the foundation and then we put both containers on the foundation, butted up together, but they still had both of the walls intact. And the reason we did that is so they still maintain their structural integrity whenever the crane was moving them. We didn't want them to collapse in on themselves or anything like that. So after we got them on the foundation, we cut all the walls out. Japanese beetle, thank you. They're freaking menaces on my trees, man.
Okay, continue. Sorry about that.
I forgot where I was, but we had both the containers together. We cut one wall out of each container so the whole middle would be open, and we left a little chunk in the middle to be able to support the roof. And then we added reinforcements in and pretty much just welded them together. All of the corners that touch on each side of the container were all welded together, so the containers themselves are welded together. And then along the roof we had probably like a 1-inch gap, so we had some leftover steel from the walls, so we laid like a little strip over top of it and welded both sides of that. 80 foot of welding. Took forever. Are supporting it, we have a support pole that's sitting in the wall between our living room and bedroom, as well as we added some cross beams from one container across the ceiling to the other container to be able to support the roof on the side that doesn't have a support poles.
Yeah, a lot of welding, a lot of late nights. A lot of fumes, so definitely take all of those things into consideration.
Oh, and then the floors. So
yeah.
as well as the ceiling, we had that little gap along the floor on both sides, and that pretty much happens because the corners on the containers stick out like a tiny bit farther than the sides of the containers do.
We had to get just a piece of steel and then weld that across the floor, so that was another more 40 feet, or I guess 80 feet because you have to do it on both sides. So
yeah, and Summer did most of that welding.
Yeah, so that's where I learned to weld, was doing the floor of the container. So cool. Yay. Another question that we get all too often is, after the container home is finished, do you plan to build a permanent main family house on your land?
So in our restrictions, we're actually only allowed to have 1 house per lot, so you can't build like, 2, 5, 10 houses on the same lot. But whenever we bought this property, we ended up just buying the additional 5 acres next to us because it was completely vacant. So that way, if we choose to end up building a different house or a bigger house or whatever, we're able to do that on a lot right next door.
It's definitely in the cards. However, most recently, and I'll give y'all just a little sneak peek into our future and maybe our next 5 years, I don't really know. But Cody and I have talked about wanting to buy some property on the river and potentially build like a little A-frame or another little cabin style house and then rent it out as an Airbnb, or like personally rent it out as like a vacation home. So that is something that we've talked about for a while. We enjoy building, we love getting out there, we love building off-grid homes. We've found a new passion for that, and so if we could do that and then also provide like an affordable cabin that people can come and stay at on the river, that's something that we would love to do. It's definitely in the cards. We have the property if we want to do it, but right now we're just really enjoying each other and enjoying building, and we don't really need a big house right now.
We've also tossed around a bunch of different ideas if we even want to build a different house, or if we just want to add on to this house and maybe put like mother-in-law quarters in the shop for whenever her parents come to stay or something like that, so that way we just have like a little guest room. There's tons of ideas, tons of possibilities, nothing's set in stone yet. So
we're like adding onto this and then building like a little A-frame on that property. There's tons and tons and tons of things that we can do.
But whenever we figure it out, y'all will definitely be the first to know.
Yes, for sure. Right now, let's just finish this house.
Yeah. What is your biggest regret? And I love watching you guys.
Thanks.
Well, thank you. I wouldn't really say it's a regret, but
it's just we couldn't afford it at the time. If things were different, maybe we could have thought about it more and saved more money for it. So maybe thinking it in terms of a regret for that, but
not having a well. While our off-grid water system has worked amazingly and still works amazingly, we've been a little short on rain this year, which is really unusual for Missouri, but actually I saw on the Weather Channel, apparently most of Missouri is under a drought right now. So super weird for us. We usually get tons and tons of rain this time of year.
And as we get more animals, our water need has increased.
Yeah, as well as all the plants.
Yes. So it's not really a regret because, we did what we could with what we had, but it's definitely something that we want to work towards, is getting a well. So
yeah, and it's also, I guess side note, it's also a lot more upkeep with having our water system running off the pond too, because I'm having to keep up with filters and make sure everything stays clean and test the water frequently to make sure everything's safe. And if we had a well, we would have a little more peace of mind and not necessarily have to do that quite as often. Because the water is already cleaner and not contaminated with bacteria or algae or anything like that, so we don't have to worry about removing those things from the water as much.
I definitely say if you are building off-grid and you have a pond or a clean water source where you don't really know if you can afford a well at this point in time, or you want to work towards a well, doing the water system that we have, like we said, has worked really, really well for us. It's just the inconsistent rain. We don't want to drain our pond.
And while the pond is super deep, it's probably still 12 to 14 foot deep right now, even though it's probably 2 to 3 feet low. So we still have tons of water, but we have a lot of fish in there now and things like that. So we don't want the water to get too low, because then it'll get too hot. They'll have less places to be able to hide and reproduce and all that. So
getting a well is definitely in the cards for us, and
Yeah.
it's something that we're going to be working towards. So hope that answers your question, and let's go to the next one. Will the house be completed before you get married? And my ring. Oh, it's hanging up because I was doing the ribs. I was rubbing the ribs, okay? And it's hanging up. It's hanging up.
I don't know where it's at.
It's hanging up. He has like a little hook, and I put it on the on the magnetic part of the cabinets, and then I just hang the ring on. Okay. Anyways, besides the point. Probably not. The house will probably not be completed before we get married. We'll probably get married, I don't know, what, this year? We're probably not gonna have like an actual wedding yet, but for like tax reasons and other such things, we'll probably get married here in like the next year or two. House will not be completed fully. Like your home's just never completed.
Who knows? Yeah, who knows? It may be somewhat completed. It probably won't be.
Like the inside will hopefully be done, but
Yeah,
like in terms of like the complete outside porch, all of that.
The inside will definitely be done by then, as far as everything we've built now. But I mean, just you never know. Like, I like to build stuff. I like to improve things. So you never know if we decide to start another project or add
what
on
if
to
we
the
add
house,
on? Yeah, stuff
or
like that.
something like that. What we've built so far will probably be done, but I wouldn't say everything will be
No,
done.
nothing will ever be done. We'll continue to always want to change or build something new or start a new project. So
Yeah, if I don't have a project, I'm just gonna get bored. So
For
and then I'll go
sure.
crazy. So I don't think I'll ever stop building things or doing something.
when we lived in Texas, this man, I never saw him. He was always in the garage. Or when I did see him, it's because we were watching movies in the garage because he was working on some sort of project. He always has to have something to be working on at all times. So yeah, there will always be projects, but let's go up to the shop.
Bugs are killing me. Next question is, are you going to build a barn so you can protect your tractor and machinery? Yes, yes, and yes.
Probably not a barn for that. We'll build a barn for obviously animals, and like you said, he wants a horse. However, to protect tractor and machinery,
I mean, no, technically we are building a barn because
Well, I guess,
the
yeah.
way that I want it to be built, it's going to look like a barn.
I guess,
so,
yeah, I didn't think
yeah,
of
we
that.
kind of are. We have our storage building right here. We're going to end up building a shop in this area, hopefully starting on it at the end of fall, but we have a couple minor projects to do before that, like put up a fence for the dogs and finish the kitchen.
Yeah.
So we're going to do those first, but hopefully we'll be starting on this in the fall.
so what he wants to do is, I'll just kind of give y'all a little bit of a preview into that project. But basically what he wants to do is take this shipping container, take another shipping container, have space in the middle, and then build a roof, kind of like a pole barn on the top of it. And
Yeah,
then,
so the two containers will have their own slanted roofs coming off of them, and then there will be a like higher section with its own roof in the middle. So it'll really just look like a barn. That way I'll have high ceilings to be able to get a car lift in there and work on my cars, as well as, I don't know,
yeah, the tractor.
yeah, the tractor.
He wants to build a shop. We really, really need a shop. He needs a shop. This man needs a shop so bad. You have a mechanic here who does not have a garage or space to work. That is a problem. So hopefully we'll be able to get him that very, very soon. Because
Yeah, so I haven't drawn out a floor plan yet or anything like that, but I'm thinking the like workspace shop portion is going to be the middle, and then one container will probably be like the heavy machinery tools or like engine building area, and then the other container will probably just be storage and things like that. So
yeah, okay, cool. All right, we are nearing the end, but this is probably one that I'm really excited about because it's not going to happen anytime soon, but maybe here in the future, and that's, are you going to get bees? It's supposed to help your garden. We've talked about this a little bit. We definitely want bees, but like I said earlier, it's just another thing that we have to take care of, so it's in the cards, not right now.
Yeah, I would like to get some in the future. I think it'd be kind of a cool thing to have.
Our friends over at the Life in Pines, Jenna and Ted, they have bees, and I think that is just so cool, and they actually sent us their honey, and oh my gosh, it's so good. So definitely want to get bees in the future, but not right now.
Summer would love the honey, and I definitely would love the pollinators for all my plants.
Yeah, so maybe in the future. Stay tuned and find out. All right, last and final question. It is really getting hot out here and we need to get to work. But what inspires you to build and design your home? So I think now there's tons of inspiration. We watch tons of different YouTube channels. I follow a lot of different blogs, a lot of TikToks, a lot of Instagram people. And I have a lot of inspiration out there.
I would say what inspired me to build my home is not paying somebody else to build it.
Yeah, I think there's this other misconception that we plan to film the build of our home from the very beginning. Like we went into this with the intention of doing YouTube, and that was actually not the case at all. Cody and I wanted to build a house and be self-sufficient, and we had never really gotten behind the camera or anything like that. It wasn't until we were basically put to a halt of building and told that we couldn't for absolutely no reason at all before we decided to take our story and tell it to see if anybody would be willing to listen and, you know, help us find a solution, which so many people reached out and we were flooded with such a supportive community, and that encouraged us and inspired us to start recording and documenting our journey. And so that's why our house is so generic, if that makes any sense, why it's very just two containers side by side, very generic floor plan. It's because it was supposed to be just this modest little house for us to live in and, you know, start a family one day. And
yeah, we say typically we'll say container house and people think, oh, that's so cool, like how many containers did you use?
Yeah.
How did you stack them? You know, what did you do anything crazy with them? No, we just put two side by side because we didn't really plan on doing anything crazy. We just wanted somewhere small to live in that we could build ourselves. And, you know, we wanted a small house because of the big land that we wanted.
Mm-hmm. And so now we're encouraged by all of you and such the supportive comments and just the overall community that we have grown on YouTube. We are so grateful for, and we've been blessed with a lot of opportunities, and so we don't know where that will take us, but right now we're just enjoying our modest home. Maybe we'll build some little cabins in the future, but I think there's tons of inspiration out there. At first it was really just us wanting to be self-sufficient and start something for ourselves, and now we see what can actually be done out there, and we just are always filling each other with our ideas and brainstorming and just feeding off of each other. So if you've noticed, we do things just a slightly different here. It may not always be aesthetically pleasing, it may not always be on trend. We do things that we can afford, that are quick, that work basically. We don't need all of the fluff and all of the extra. We just need to be able to live sustainably. And so I think that a lot of people expect us to build this big gigantic house, and you know, that might be in the cards in the future, but right now we're just doing what we originally intended, and that's building just a nice sustainable off-grid home that we can be debt-free on, because at the end of the day, that was originally why we decided to move, was because we wanted to be debt-free, and we remodeled our house to sell it to be debt-free. So
yeah, my ultimate goal is for this place to be able to run itself completely.
yeah.
You know, completely run its own power, its own water, not need any kind of outside anything. And right now it works like that. So
Yeah, I hope that answers your question. I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into who Cody and I are a little bit more, and we just appreciate y'all for being here. We wouldn't keep doing YouTube videos if it wasn't for y'all. We are so freaking grateful.
who knows where we would be if it wasn't for y'all? I mean, honestly, like, who knows if we
Oh my
ever
gosh,
would have built
or
or if we would have
anything.
gave up and moved, or
We probably
what
would
would've
have if they wouldn't have given us our permits. We put our whole life savings into this. We wouldn't have had another option except for to just pick up and leave. And so you guys gave us the encouragement to keep going and to keep fighting, and you know, this is what we've done so far, and I can't wait to see what the future holds. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe,
And we'll see you in the next one.
where we actually build something. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Pack our bags and get in that car. Leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city.
Any guesses?
Drive to the open air.
Oh, really?
Countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday. Baby, don't you